This is lesson 2. It's called Mr. Fulton's Journey. Do you know what a journey is? A journey refers to the act of traveling from one place to another. An inventor named Robert Fulton had a very important invention that changed the way people traveled from one place to another during the westward expansion. I want you to listen carefully to determine the main topic of the read aloud and to learn about this invention that changed the way people traveled during westward expansion. What is happening in this picture? As she stepped from the dock onto the boat, the lady in the pink dress held a matching pink parasol or umbrella above her head. It was a sunny August day in 1807 in New York City, and she wanted to protect her delicate skin from the sunlight. She smiled at one of the boat's owners. "Mr. Fulton," she said, "I hope your boat will do everything you have built her to do." What do you think Mr. Fulton's boat was built to do? What is the setting for this story? The lady's husband shook Mr. Fulton's hand and said, "It will be a great day if you succeed, Fulton, a great day indeed." Then the couple walked forward to join the other ladies and gentlemen already on board. The man whom they had greeted, Robert Fulton, wore a confident smile, but inside he was terribly nervous. He thought to himself, "If all goes well today, I will be rich, and people all over the world will know my name. If I fail, I will lose a great deal of money and be laughed at as a dreamer and a fool. That must not happen." What do you think Mr. Fulton is trying to accomplish? Fulton felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to find his business partner, Robert Livingston, standing at his side. Robert Livingston was a wealthy, important man. He had worked for the government both in the United States and in Europe. Many years ago in 1801, while Fulton was in Europe doing business, he met Livingston at a restaurant in Paris. This is a city in the country of France. Fulton told Livingston, "What I am working on right now will forever change the way people travel and the way in which everyone does business." What do you think Mr. Fulton had been working on back then? Livingston's eyes lit up with interest. "Tell me more, Fulton," he said. "Well, as you know, an Englishman has invented what he calls a steam engine. Basically, you light a coal or wood fire inside a furnace to heat a boiler of water. When the fire gets very hot, the water is also heated, and steam comes off it, or water vapor. That steam is fed to an engine and provides energy to power the engine." "Yes, I've heard of this steam engine," Livingston replied. "Please continue." "I'm sure you've also heard of steamboats." What do you think a steamboat is? Here's a picture of a steamboat. It's a boat that moves because of the power of steam. "Actually, I have heard of steamboats," said Livingston. Fulton continued, "Well, Livingston, I plan on building one, but my steamboat will be much better than the ones already made. I shall use steam power to turn paddles on the back of the boat." So back refers to the location of something, such as on a boat. Back is the opposite of front. Back means something else, too. Your back is part of your body. Let's pat ourselves on the back. With steam turning the paddles, the boat will move more quickly than by using human muscle or wind and a sail. So canoes move fairly slowly through the water, as do sailboats when winds are calm. "Extraordinary," said Livingston. "That is not all," Fulton continued. "My boat will be flat on the bottom, not curved. This will allow us to carry more people and products on each voyage or journey. Picture a whole fleet of such boats, Livingston. Why, the owners would become richer than even you can imagine." A fleet is a group of boats. Livingston noticed that Fulton had used the word "us" as if he were already sure that Livingston would join him in this project. Livingston didn't mind. He agreed to help fund the plan, and the two friends became partners. Livingston knew that Fulton was not the only inventor working to design a steamboat, but the two men thought Fulton's design was far better than any other. So an inventor is someone who invents or creates something. An inventor has to design or plan the invention before she or he makes it. After many years of countless improvements on the boat's design, the day for the steamboat's first voyage had finally arrived. Do you think the word countless means just a few or many? So Mr. Fulton worked to improve his design many times. Now standing on deck, Livingston said, "Those were our last guests coming aboard, Fulton. We can begin our journey whenever you are ready." Fulton turned to his boat's captain, who told him, "The engine is all fired up, sir. I await your orders." "What kind of engine powered the boat?" "Then let us begin," Fulton answered. The captain called to several sailors, "Cast off bow and stern lines." The sailors untied the thick ropes holding the boat to the dock. Then the captain turned to the pilot, whose job it was to steer the boat, and told him, "Take us to Albany." Albany is another city in the state of New York. As the guests on board and the spectators on the dock began to cheer, steam began to pour from the boat's smokestack. The steamboat was on its way. How do you think Mr. Fulton and Mr. Livingston are feeling? The plan was to travel along the wide Hudson River from New York City to the state capital of Albany, stopping briefly at Livingston's home in Claremont, New York, which explains the name of Fulton's steamboat, North River Steamboat of Claremont. Not only did the steamboat have to make the trip safely in order to show that steam travel would work, the boat also had to move faster than any other type of boat, or no one would see any reason to switch to steam. How were boats powered previously? As the viewers on the dock watched the steamboat paddle away, some people said, "I don't see how they will ever do it." Others said, "Let's wait and see. After all, this fellow Fulton convinced Robert Livingston, a man who controls much of the river travel in New York, that his plan would work." Do you think the voyage on the steamboat will be a success? The believers were right. About 2 days later, a second crowd stood cheering on the dock in Albany as Fulton's steamboat puffed into view. The steamboat had taken less than 2 days for a voyage that usually took sailing ships 4 days. Was Fulton's steamboat faster than sailing ships? "Congratulations, Mr. Fulton," said the lady in the pink dress as she and her husband stepped off the boat. "Many people didn't believe it could be done. You've proved them wrong." Shaking Fulton's hand, Livingston said, "Congratulations, Fulton. New York will never be the same." "No, Livingston," Fulton replied. "The world will never be the same." What do you think Mr. Fulton meant when he said the world will never be the same? How might his steamboat change the world? Robert Fulton was right. Over the next few years, the two partners set a whole fleet of steamboats afloat on the Hudson River and the Mississippi River. People realized that steamboats were faster, much cheaper, and much more reliable than other types of transportation. There was only one problem. Steamboats needed rivers to travel on, and there were no rivers between some of the biggest cities. So people still couldn't use steamboats to go everywhere they wanted. Do you think other people will invent faster and cheaper ways to travel between cities and to places not connected by rivers? So what was the main topic of today's read aloud? Where was the setting of this read aloud? Is this located in the East or West? Why were Robert Fulton, Robert Livingston, and others taking an important journey on the steamboat? Why do you think Robert Livingston agreed to be Robert Fulton's partner? What was the advantage of a boat powered by steam rather than by people or the wind? What was the disadvantage of steamboat travel? How do you think Mr. Fulton's steamboat affected westward expansion? In the read aloud today, you heard, "This will allow us to carry more people and products on each voyage." Say the word voyage with me. Voyage. A voyage is a journey or trip. According to Greek mythology, Theseus took a voyage to Crete and destroyed the Minotaur. Have you ever been on a voyage? What's the word we've been talking about? Voyage.